Yes, welcome to the No State Project. Still here on YouTube, thank goodness. It is what is it? It's April 4th, 2020, live from the fortified compound in Mesa, Arizona. And for those who are new, and I'm glad you're here. If I say fortified compound because those of us who question the official story, who question the legitimacy of government itself, we don't live in houses, we live in compounds. And it doesn't matter if it's not an actual compound, but it has an ominous, you hear compound. Whoa, what kind of person is this over here? So that's why I say that. But it's a beautiful, glorious day although quiet day in Mesa, Arizona. It's interesting. I of all the crap, because I want to get into some of this crap that I've been hearing lately. There are some people that are just they hear certain things that they don't hear the whole context. They just hear what they want to hear, and so some of these comments that I'm getting lately. Yes, hello, hey, UK. Glad everyone's filing in for the big show here today. And I remember these comments I'm getting lately. It reminds me of a bureaucrat. And they were absolutely beside themselves, pissed off when they found out that I was actually in Mesa, Arizona. And I said, well, you said Phoenix. When I'm talking to somebody from New Hampshire who has no real understanding of knowing, the local place, I said, I'm Phoenix. That's what you say to somebody who's not from Arizona, who's not familiar with Arizona. I say I'm also from New York. Some people take that like my, Lamia, she thought that meant only Manhattan. New York is more than just New York City. But to people from New York City, New York, that's all it means. So I can also say I'm from Long Island. If I say Selden, people from Port Washington have never heard of Selden. So why say that when it gives people absolutely no frame of reference whatsoever? Who the hell knows where Selden is? You could be from Comac and have never heard of Selden. All right, that's just So I get these comments, and I want to get. I gave out the what you call it there. The call-in number is in the show notes. I did remember that. And it is 717-275-8941. That's 717-275-8941. The passcode is 123-3428. You can also get me on Skype. And you have to instant message me first on Skype, and I'll bring you up on the show. I want to talk about, we could talk more about these, the whole idea of the New World Order and how many times Alex Jones has been wrong about this stuff and wrong now. I'm pretty certain. But also if you want to continue the ethical discussion, it just seems to be that people are so grossly misinterpreting or getting wrong what I'm saying. So that's why I was a little bit confused. I don't understand how. Here's somebody saying, Connor O'Neill, how can an anarchist support martial law being rolled out and the removal of our most basic rights? And this is regarding the last video. I'm just dumbfounded by. I know. Why are you even discussing something on YouTube? A comment from YouTube. It's just It is such a complete misunderstanding of what I'm talking about. I never came out in favor of martial law. I was trying to have an ethical, and we did have a decent ethical discussion last week. Maybe we can have more today. We'll see how it goes. It was just without the concept of government. I even made that clear several times. It's amazing to me that people are so myopic in their view. Oh my gosh, I don't think it's a hoax. He does. He's for the globalists. He must want the frogs being gay. I made it clear in my scenario for a philosophical discussion on ethics and what our possible ethical obligations what may or may not be ethical in this situation, but it was not in the context of a government shutdown. I even got accused of ranting because I guess I was a bit, because I was making the example a week ago. I'm not talking about an AK-47 or an M16 pointed at your forehead that you have to stay in your house. I wasn't talking about that. And despite all that I said regarding that, this guy O'Connor still thinks that I support martial law. I could put up any symbol behind me and talk, contrary to that, but I went out of my way several times. So I don't, if my channel is shut down, I'm not going to miss, when you get, when your comments are this stupid. So if I can't do the show anymore, I'll be perfectly honest. I'm okay with it. I'm all right. I'm okay. How can an anarchist support martial law? Never said that. And if you guys are going to accuse me of something like this, it's very simple. All you got to do, you just have to type in the time that I said it. And it's real easy. Anybody could just go and you click on let's say 5:55 and you click there and it proves your point. It shows that you know what you're talking about. So if you're going to make a wild accusation like this and you put a comment, you're going to go through the trouble of making a comment, at least show where I said something like that. Oh, I just, what do you say to this? Well, we're going to, Spencer, glad to have you aboard here, especially right now. Alex Jones plays both sides and keeps his predictions vague and open-ended like a psychic. People believe that stuff, though, Spencer. People believe it. And in his the lawsuit that's against him, he's a defendant for the comments that he made and how it influenced his audience directly regarding one of the shootings, one of the mass shootings, the Sandy Hook one. Most of us, listening to the show probably don't have a lot of experience in court. He got hit with $150,000 in attorney's fees for frivolous filings and delays in discovery. $150,000 in discovery. That's not even after. They still have to go through a trial. Wow. So someone here saying, Mark, your moral discussion isn't possible without considering the barrel of a gun. That's not true. We can have a philosophical discussion where it does not involve the barrel of a gun. And I laid out the scenario very clearly. Now, if I don't see why that has to come into it. I don't see that. The situation had to do with what our ethical obligations would be absent government. We're just trying to get a baseline of our of a basic ethical obligation that we could then extrapolate that to our current situation. But you can still have a philosophical discussion on ethics without involving the barrel of a gun. No, we weren't talking about that. Started moving into that, but my caller was absolutely adamant, and some people take this thing about individualism as if they can do everything literally on their own. I don't owe anybody anything, and they don't owe me anything. Well, okay, then you're not an ethical person. Ethics doesn't enter into the equation. So if your position is, I don't owe anybody anything, nobody owes me anything, you're not open to an ethical discussion. That kind of forecloses an ethical or moral discussion, because that at least that's the way I see it. If nothing is owed to anybody and anyone, it's every man for himself, so you don't have a system of ethics in place. But if you want to have an ethical discussion, then we got to accept that certain things, certain behaviors, certain things are owed. I don't want it happening to me. So I got to extend that to my fellow man to be logically consistent. Now, that doesn't mean not everybody puts a value on being logically consistent. I get it. Every single day. I get it. Not everybody, that's why you get these stupid comments. How can an anarchist support martial law? So I can go on the record right here, repeat myself. I am not a pro-government guy. I am definitely not pro-violence. Defensive force is always ethical and morally allowed, but not for martial law. And just because I could say that 1,000 times, Connor or somebody else is still going to come back with, So not everybody values logical consistency, but for those who do, please call the show. Hey, and even if someone doesn't, if I'm saying something that you don't agree with, and you think I'm dead wrong, then call with the facts and the evidence. The evidence and your logic show where I'm wrong. So Stahl is saying it's easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled. Well, yeah, that's true. That is very, very true. Why people are thinking that I have lost my skepticism. So this is where another bullshist. That's a great username. Mark Stevens, always demand facts and evidence and never believe what politicians say without challenging it, unless it's the coronavirus, in which you fall for every appeal to... I had to open up the rest of the comment. Always demand facts and evidence and never believe what politicians say without challenging it, unless it is the coronavirus, in which case you, meaning me, fall for every appeal to authority, logical fallacy, and use ad hom smears against non-believers. I wasn't using an insult to disprove somebody's argument. That's the same thing that that one... Whoa. Holy crap. The show is literally falling apart, people. Wow. I give you this. It's better than having the light bulb explode in my face. I don't know how many of us remember that. I think I took care of that problem. So there we go. Did the joke at least land? Hey, it's actually I think it's actually working. It's positioned a bit better there. So yeah. So I don't think I was using an insult to disprove somebody's argument. So I may have actually insulted. I like to think I didn't, but if I did, I apologize, and I'm working on not doing that. And I haven't slung the insults at these damn lawyers, so I've been doing all right there. An appeal to authority? No, I don't think I've made an appeal to authority that the scientists are right just because they're scientists. I've made it clear that we're looking at independent video that people have that are in this, people that are actually working and in hospitals helping people. So it's not an appeal to authority. I'm not believing just what the mainstream media says. I do take, I want to look for independent sources. So I can't accept this. I don't think this is a valid criticism that it's just the same usual criticism that I'm getting lately, that I'm losing my skepticism. I don't see it that way. I'm looking at independent sources. So I don't get that. Now, the virus is to get people to submit to martial law and to force vax and to blame deaths to cover 5G deaths. Is there any evidence? Somebody went and put up something, post that certain things come about at about the same time as something else. Well, the 5G, and now we've got this, and when we had 4G, we had we had H1N1. Anyone seeing a pattern? And I know it's correlation doesn't equal causation. Is there any evidence that 5G is causing this? Yeah, they have such a huge 5G platform or in New York City that's what's causing it. Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah. So you would expect in places that have no internet access, no 4G, that they'd have no cases. So corona is nothing more than the common cold. What do you believe is really happening, Mark? I think that there's as was predicted as being a time bomb in 2007, because of the culture in southern China of eating mammals, that you had another, and there's many sources to verify this, not just one, not just the 6 corporations that own the mainstream media, that you had yet another virus jump species, and it is far more deadly. In fact, I think the numbers are skewed in that they're not reporting as the actual numbers. So since I did the show on Wednesday, there's been almost another doubling. In 3 days, there's been almost another doubling of the number of overall cases to 277,000 in the United States and over 6,500 deaths. I think the deaths, that's almost a doubling on the deaths. So we now far exceed. We have, I think, about 100,000 more cases than Italy, although Italy seems to have hit its peak and is getting it under control. So that's what I think is happening. This is far more deadly than the common cold, and far more deadly than if you say, "Well, it's just the flu." Even if it is just a strain of the flu, it is far more deadly. And for the deaths in New York City, it was reported that only 2% had underlying problems. 98% dead because of this new virus. This whole thing, I have been doing this a long time. I have been an anarchist a long time. I mean, a long time. I've been an anarchist since 1997. I have heard an awful lot of crap. And the problem with someone like Alex Jones is people believe him and act on it. He has been predicting from at least the late 90s that Satanists are trying to take over the United States and the world, that the New World Order is a demonic high-tech tyranny. The globalists are Satanists. Yeah, that's why you get they're pushing their symbolism. They're pushing it in everyone's face because they have so much power and they're so unstoppable that they can rub it in your face. And yet these all-powerful Satanists that were able to kill Antonin Scalia from the Supreme Court, they are so all-powerful, they haven't gotten a New World Order yet. They're so powerful and they control everything, but they haven't gotten a New World Order just yet. So you can go back, I don't know how far you need to go. You can look at like the Fort Hood shooting. It's the globalists, they're going to take your guns. That was in 2009. And all reporting about how this African, this Kenyan, who's president, and his Satanist friends, the globalists, they're going to take your guns. The Fort Hood shooting, total false flag. Nobody died. They were coming after your guns. Then you have the San Bernardino attack in 2015. 14 people, I believe, were shot dead. But not a single person. According to Alex Jones and people like that, all false flag. It doesn't matter that I know a first responder who was there. False flag! So, it was a real attack, but the false flag was all done by the government to get your guns. That was in 2015. If they were so old, and I'm not saying that they're not powerful people. And if they wanted martial law, why don't they just do it? So they just keep staging these things after decade after decade after decade, and they don't accomplish their goal? Good Lord. Sandy Hook, 2012, 27 people dead. Allegedly. Right? Oh, people coming out. Did you see the bodies? Did you see the bodies? Again, I didn't see the bodies of 60 some odd children that were killed in Syria, or Yemen. But there were enough. There were enough independent sources to did anybody actually see Jamal Khashoggi's cut up body? How do we know he's even dead? No. Sandy Hook, 2012, 27 people dead. Alex Jones said it was completely fake, totally fake. The school had been shut down for years. The school was empty. The whole town knew, the entire town knew that the school had been closed down. Did they get their New World Order? Did the globalists get their New World Order? Did these all-powerful, putting it right in your face, teasing you with satanic symbolism in The Simpsons, in the Super Bowl halftime show, pushing it in your face with all those stupid things like this? Just, they're so powerful and untouchable that even after this, in 2012, Sandy Hook, they didn't get the guns. Virginia Tech, 32 people dead, 2007. That wasn't enough. The Orlando nightclub shooting, 2016, 49 people dead. That was in 2016. Years later, they still haven't been able to accomplish their goal of the New World Order and getting everybody's guns. And then in the largest one in the United States history, 58 people dead, 851 injuries in the Las Vegas shooting in 2017. Of course, that is, well, the globalists coming for your guns. 3 years, practically, they still haven't been able to do it. Is anyone seeing a pattern here? Every damn thing he has said, almost every prediction that man has made, just like Spencer, I don't think he's making them sufficiently vague, though, Spence. There is a disaster around every corner. There is a Mason behind every tree. I've known people that believe that stuff. Your foreign source, that's one of the now that really hurts. I should block you for that. That hurts. It doesn't, but it kind of stings a little to say something like that. That wow. The same person dies multiple times. People do look alike. That's like, what is that gold guy trying to say that Ron Paul was an actor. Dallas Gold something. Yeah, nothing's real. Trying to say that the same actor who played Frank Rizzo, the Philadelphia mayor and police chief, was the same actor that was playing Ron Paul. It doesn't matter that Ron Paul was about a foot shorter than Frank Rizzo. Mark, you're so indoctrinated. Our guns will do nothing against the weapon technology the military has. Making us fight for our guns is a distraction. If there's, what is stopping them from imposing martial law? Who's going to fight them? Who's going to stop them? I like Mark's a shill. Look at his logo. Is that a logo? I don't think that's a logo. Mark, Trump is live now. 28,000 watching. Corona and White Horse speak. Talking heads side by side. No mask. Well, yeah. Yeah, he definitely needs to. I don't know. Does he? I don't even know. He's been taken off of so many platforms at this point. how we could possibly have an audience, but people still believe in that stuff. I mean, it's crazy. I think, yeah, it's quite something. But you look at all these mass shootings, everything was supposed to lead to a confiscation of the guns and martial law. So even if we say that the guns are a distraction, where is the martial law? Most Americans now would not lift a damn finger. It doesn't matter how armed people may be. They could get their martial law anytime they wanted. That's bad for business. All that stuff is bad for business. It's just like you don't have tanks rolling down the street in Key West, or have tanks rolling down the street in the Bahamas. It's bad for business. They could have a new world order anytime they wanted. They already have total control over people. They could do pretty much anything they want right now. So their wanting a new world order has already existed for decades. They can do whatever they want. Most politicians can get away with anything. Anything. We've just proven that. Once again. You can lie and lie and lie. You can commit felony after felony after felony after felony. You can violate the emoluments clause every single day of your administration. You can retaliate against witnesses, which just happened again. You could do all these things. You can lie about a pandemic and cause people to die. You can sell your stocks with information you got from the intelligence community. Nothing happens. Politicians are basically untouchable. The rich are untouchable. It's the way it's been. It's the way it probably always will be, because nobody is going to do anything about it, because they hold all the cards. And what this is proving right now is that everyone was one paycheck away from homelessness. The airline industry spent so much money buying back stock, and with so much of Wall Street buying back stock, there was no cash reserve. Everything they leveraged to death. So, another thing about Alex Jones. So not only is it's the Satanists. Bill Gates is a eugenicist trying to wipe out minorities. Wow. Hillary Clinton is running a child sex ring out of the people believe that. I thought there was some investigation, and after you look at things, you realize there's nothing here. It turns out to be a Russian hoax. Millions of undocumented or illegal aliens illegally voted in the 2016 election. Well, that was completely false. So, the idea that this is one more shot that the globalists are taking to bring about a new world order, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to have to go ahead and disagree with you there. Okay. I'm not saying that bad things are not being done by what I have said for years is a criminal organization, but they have a public relations image to keep up. Obviously, they're going to use things that are organic that happened and use it to their advantage. Sure. But the idea that it's all fake and that no one is dying from these things, from this new virus, no one's dying. It's all literally fake. Then, it turns out that the current administration, like the last administration, like every presidential administration, at least since Reagan, has been involved with child sex trafficking. It wasn't being done out of a pizza shop in Washington, D.C. Got that there, Jeffrey Epstein. And see, and this is what I'm talking about. They can get away with anything. Here, the guy in charge of keeping him safe was Bill Barr, whose father had a history with this guy. No one's held accountable. They said they're going to charge some of the low-level guys, but not the guys who've actually ordered the hit. Well, how do you know he's even dead? He might not be dead. The idea that the whole thing is fake. I mean, even some people who think that it's a false flag. They've well, no, I think it's just weaponized. They weaponized this. Yeah. That's possible. How probable is it? How probable is it that they did this on purpose to bring about the New World Order? Well, Mark, you got to look at the Georgia lodestones or guidestones. Got to reduce the global population. Well, those came out decades ago. Decades ago. So I can't get on board with that there's nobody dying, because there's plenty of independent sources. People are dying. And I don't, and they're dying in far higher numbers. And 60,000 people are going to die of the flu this year. This year, we're talking about something that is 10 to 20 or 30 times more deadly, and already it is far exceeding the number dead. So if you were to extrapolate that, and look at the curve and how every 3 days the numbers are doubling, so we're going to have 10 to 12,000 people dead when I do the Wednesday show. I know maybe I shouldn't do the Wednesday show and stop that. So here we've got, I have to write this down so I have it for the Wednesday show. We have 277K cases reported, which I think if anything's wrong and fake, it's that number is much higher. Plus, you have the fact that most, the most people, the testing is subpar. It's not like South Korea, which South Korea has it well under control now. I don't think that they institute a martial law either there. But in the place where they have martial law all the time, in China, so they're going to release this so that they can have martial law. They already have martial law in China. So I wrote it down. So when we do the Wednesday show, not that I want this to happen, I certainly don't, but it may be on Wednesday we have 10K dead. And people say, well, let's, just that's what happens with the flu. I mean, people die of malaria, but that's what this is in addition to, and it's far, far worse. So, yeah. So anyway, the number to call if you wanted to get in, it's in the show notes, but it is 717. 275-8941. The passcode is 123-3428. And Skype is Frank Rizzo 3, but instant message me first. So let me take a look at that there. Skype, I guess we're just going to maybe call it a day. Some of these comments you expect. I'm always going to get this one guy, no matter what I don't understand. I'm sure I mentioned this before. If there's someone I disagree with, and I have a personal thing with them, I don't watch all their videos and make comments on every single one. I know you like to say that you don't hate me because that would take effort, but my gosh, doesn't it take effort to watch every single video and then make your stupid comments? So I really need to go in and block this guy. Yeah, some people who reject the coronavirus as the cause present another single cause. They're failing for the basic con job. And no, this people are dying. Oh, the world needs more of Mark impersonating Alex Jones. That would be awesome. All right, we got some Alex Jones fan my impersonation. So, but it's the globalists. Wake up, America! Although I do like one of the things that Alex said to Joe Rogan. I might be a little retarded. Well, certainly, it seems that way with some of the things that he comes out with. That Satanists, it's a satanic. I've actually met people and Satanists happen to be Satanists tend to be even more like Christians are supposed to be. Satanists are not evil people. If you actually know a real Satanist, so they're not trying to cut babies' heads off and stuff like that. It's not what an actual Satanist is. So I don't get that. Alex Jones specifically predicted wearing masks will be required by law this coming week. Let's see if he's right. Well, I mean, come on. They've been suggesting it, and it's been more, a suggestion in Europe and Asia, because it's a common sense thing. You don't have to be an immunologist to know, well, yeah, the mask. Because I remember there was a quote there, Spencer. Somebody I said that there was something wrong with me because I thought that this virus or any virus could be airborne. And they were trying to use an example of HIV. Well, viruses have different modes, means of transmitting to another host. And the idea that viruses aren't airborne, when you breathe, at least when I do, that there is going to be moisture from your lungs. Now, I don't think that is something that the Satanists want you to believe because it's fake. I think that's actually true. And some people, they will expel more moisture or spit than others. So, look, they're saying it's, I don't think anything in the United States is going to go by law. But hey, that's not, that's now, Spencer, that's actually more in line with what psychics do or what NLP practitioners and hypnotists will do, because they will go for something that has to happen anyway for credibility. So it's just like the old trick with the hypnotist, stare at the light or at the watch rather, and your eyelids will start to droop and you want to close your eyes. Well, yeah, if you stare at anything long enough, that's the natural thing to happen. So they say things that are going to happen anyway to gain credibility. It's not some groundbreaking thing that Alex Jones, the globalists, and they're coming for your guns and they're turning the frogs gay. Alex Jones has to be the top 99% of spit expelling people. Yeah, that's probably right. That's probably right. So the masks are to see if the facial recognition can identify by looking at the iris only. There are actually cities and states that are going to they want to outlaw facial recognition. I'm going to actually take a moment and look that up. So, yeah, San Francisco is one of them. Somerville, a suburb of Boston, and Oakland, and some other places are looking to ban the use of facial recognition. So if the globalists control everything, they control all of government. Agenda 21, you moron! Agenda 21, the globalists, they're gonna take everything. Why would they be banning facial recognition? So I'm going to have to go ahead and disagree with you there. Yeah, and that's the thing with all those things, the supplements that the guy sells. The fact that he's making millions of dollars in supplements tells you something about the gullibility of the people listening to that crap. The testing for COVID-19 only shows there has been an immune response. A paper cut can give an immune response. It can't give you an antigen or an antibody to that particular virus. Oh my gosh. You can, the antibodies. All right. I'm going to have to. Yeah, Spencer, I think a lot of us agree there. I'm definitely taking my bailout check. I consider it a partial return of stolen funds. Amen, brother. So, yeah. Well, I'll check to see. I was going to pull the plug on the show, and we're starting to get lined up with calls. So why don't we get some calls here? We have area code. It starts with 650. You're live on the No Stay Project.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
What's your name? Where are you calling from? Maybe Fargo?
I may be for InSource.
You're kidding, right?
Nope.
The one, the only for InSource? You're actually calling me. Wow.
That's me.
Well,
I just wanted to give you some support. I know you're being throttled in the chat room.
It happens. This is like I almost don't believe that it's actually you, but I'm going to take your word for it. And maybe that'll throw some people like, oh, he's not, even deeper down into the statist rabbit hole.
Yeah. So hey, I just wanted to tell you, I'm an atheist. So for me, there's no possible proof of a God existing. And sometimes I think that that's how you are as far as states existing or governments existing.
Yeah, I just think the difference is I have actual proof that it doesn't exist, as opposed to. So I think I agree with you. I'm just adding for people who may not have heard this before that the evidence exists against the existence of government and citizens.
Well, for me, it would be like me denying that churches exist or that Christians exist. So you don't believe in the philosophy of a government, which is fine, but the government does exist. You can say that they're malactors or whatever else, but they still exist, whether you like it or not.
Well, I'm not saying that the bad actors don't exist. What I'm saying is that calling them a government is not accurate because the facts are against it. That's why you've heard me say a lot that there is no government. They're just men and women that are forcing people to give the money. And it's that second part that negates, that them being an actual government. So it's quite different than the church. You can, there are church buildings and, and whatnot, and there's an organization. That doesn't mean that there is a church, but having the existence of a church does not equal the existence of a God. So I don't know if that's really a fair comparison.
It's the best one I can do.
Okay, well, I understand. But do you have a problem with my facts and the logic I'm using to reach the conclusion that there is no government in those states and citizens?
I think it would be like me denying that there are churches.
Yeah, but you're just denying it flat out. I'm giving you. I'm looking at the evidence, and based on that evidence, reaching a conclusion.
Well, it's based on tradition, and I know that's not a logical argument for you, but unfortunately, that's how it is in the world. And you disagree with that, and I can understand, but saying that they're not legit doesn't really fly until somebody with greater power says you're right, they're not legit. But you can keep fighting. I mean, there's no problem with that.
Well, but I asked you if you had a problem with my facts and my argument.
I think, well, yeah, I do, because if you say that, hey, the state of California doesn't exist, and then I'll say, well, okay, if you have a charge in California, the cops in Arizona can't just come across the state line and arrest you. They need to go through a certain procedure. And the same way that, unfortunately, the United States likes to go into other countries and just kill people, still doesn't deny that those countries have their own sovereignty. The same way, like, you wouldn't expect the Mexican police to come across the United States border to come and grab you, even though the United States can do that if we want, because we're the United States.
But that's not really addressing the facts. So real quick, because it's more for people who are new.
Okay, we'll state a simple fact for me.
What we call government are just men and women that force the community to give the money.
Okay, that's a fact.
Right.
I won't deny that, but that's still, they're unelected and we elect them.
Okay.
Some of them
However,
are appointed, but we elect them, and that's just how it is. I mean, what?
well, come on. No self-respecting atheist is going to go and try to defeat my argument by an appeal to tradition. I mean, I can't let that go.
That's the best I can do. You've got a government. You've got a government in every state, in every country, except for there are some places where they don't have governments because it's a war zone or whatever. But that's just how it is.
Okay. Well, let's go back to the facts though, because those are the facts. And so we're in agreement as to the basic foundational facts. We know that through, that they're supposed to be protecting life, liberty, and property, and that there are obligations of allegiance in return for duty of protection. Now, can those obligations be created if they're just men and women forcing the community to give the money?
Well, see, that's the thing. The whole. What if they want to give money? What if I want to pay tax?
But you're not addressing the argument. You're not, or the question rather. We want to look at the facts. You've already agreed to the facts, so let's accept the facts.
Right, but you're saying that the government is only because they force people to pay money.
Well, you just agreed that.
What
those
if I don't have
facts.
to be forced?
But we have to. We had a point of agreement there, so let's keep to our agreement. And if you want to distance, let's at least let's get to another point before we start changing the underlying facts. So. Okay. Given those facts that you agree with, can obligations of allegiance and protection be created?
Yes, and that's not the only definition of citizenship or government. You take that one particular definition and then you try to say this is it. But I mean, what you going to do?
Well, because I'll give you this. I went from a general statement of fact for government, which applies all over. But then I asked you a question. I was dealing more specifically with United States and Anglo type. So at least for the United States or Canada or places like that, you said yes, that those obligations can be created by force.
That's a hard one. See, there's a reality that there are people called government versus the philosophy of it only exists if it's this or that, and I think that's the disagreement. But I don't know.
Well,
But anyway,
well, no, don't bail on me now.
I mean, want to have a larger philosophy.
Oh man, are you kidding me? I finally get to talk to you, and we're having what I think is a really good discussion. And he's just gonna. All right, I'm gonna have to block you from the channel now.
No. I won't. I'm not bailing out.
I'm playing with you.
I'm just saying okay, but we're just gonna argue over something that we're never gonna find
I don't think so.
An agreement on. I don't think.
I think we're close to it.
So I mean, it's not.
Well, all right, because you said yes, and then when I asked you again, you said it's a very difficult question. All right. I think it's a difficult question only because of where you presently stand on your beliefs. Now, most I give it. You know, I know some atheists that their mind is shut. They don't care. That's the way. But a lot of them tend to be very skeptical, like me, and which is great. And so, do you accept that you could possibly be wrong in your position on this?
Sure.
Okay. So
I'm not. That's the thing. I'm not locked into it.
Great. So let's try to get an answer to the question. Can reciprocal obligations of allegiance and protection be created by force?
Yes.
Oh, how so?
If your child disobeys you, can you force that child to obey you? I mean, hopefully not by spanking, but by, grounding them or something.
I don't think you have it's the same situation of allegiance and protection that we're talking about here. Oh, how can?
But don't you? But doesn't the parent have an obligation and a duty to take care of the child?
Well, we're talking about adults. So how can the obligations of allegiance in return for and if reciprocal obligations of allegiance and protection, can they be created by force? You said could be, and I said how so? So how would adults go about, because children can't have a duty of allegiance. They can't even understand the concept. So we have to deal with adults who understand the concept.
Okay, if for some crazy reason Mexico comes across the border and starts attacking us, does the government have a duty to defend us against Mexico or Canada?
No, we are assuming that the obligation exists already. We're trying to get at how do obligations of allegiance and protection get created by force?
Because they are. If you don't, back in the day when we have a draft, if you don't agree to the draft, they could put you in jail.
Would you?
And that's by force. I mean, it's not a great thing, but
yeah, but I could burn somebody. But people were burned at the stake. Well, why should I believe in God? Well, because they are real, and if you don't believe us, we'll just burn you at the stake. It doesn't prove the existence of the God.
Right. And I don't.
But that's what you just used. You just used that with me. You said because they are. But that's not an argument. That doesn't prove anything. That's again another a tradition appeal to tradition. Well, it's just the way we've done it. It doesn't really get to the heart of the matter. Yeah. It doesn't answer the question. So I think as far
you can say that it's bad, but it is the way it is.
But we're not. I'm not debating that's the way it is. That's not the argument or the discussion we're having. We're having a discussion on your position that you can create obligations of allegiance and protection by force. And you can do things by force, but that doesn't equal the obligations being created. No, just like that's why I used the witch burning example.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it makes it right, but it is. That's what it is. Whoever has the most power in a certain situation, controls the land that they have. I know it is ultimately by force, but hopefully it's also by agreement.
Well, it's one or the other, right? I mean, you could put any situation. Well, rape is ultimately by force, but we hope some of it's by agreement.
No, but you have people who won't agree to abide by societal laws, and what do you do with those people?
Okay, but we're still trying to get.
And I mean, and societal laws do change over time. I mean, slavery was not considered wrong until it was, or homosexuality was considered wrong until it finally wasn't.
Well, that's true, but I've talked about that too. Slavery used to be, majority thought it was just natural the way it was. My gosh, Aristotle wrote about that. Aristotle. So, I get that. But we're still not able to get to you. You haven't been able to show that allegiance and reciprocal obligations of allegiance and protection are created by force. Just by saying that's the way it's done doesn't create that. So, and if you're not able to, I don't blame you. I don't fault you for that. I don't think you can do it. That
It's not something I really worry about.
Okay, well,
to be honest with you,
okay.
It's like I said, that's your horse, not mine.
Well, that's why I had asked.
But I do.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
That's why I had asked you what your disagreement was with my facts or my argument, my logic, and so we had a discussion on that. And I think where look, look. You just flat out you can't do that. I've had this discussion with a lot of people. I'm glad to have it with you here. You can't create these obligations by force, and that is why I go and I argue, or my argument is that because of those facts, because you can't create those obligations, you can't have a citizen in the state because you have to have that. And just for those new, I am taking my source directly from the United States Supreme Court, from U.S. law, and the Constitution, the Massachusetts Constitution. So I'm not making up the reciprocal obligation thing. It is a matter, and that's something that goes back to before Magna Carta. I mean, you've got English cases consistently that when thou comes onto the crown's domain, the allegiance to the crown, and the crown owes a duty of. So that is something that goes back 1,000 years or more. And my position.
Can I say I love the way you say Magna Carta? It sounds like you're saying Mr. Carter from Welcome Back, Carter.
Oh, wow. Magna Carta.
Magna Carta. Hey, Mr. Carter.
I love that show as a kid. Well, I think maybe let's see if we get this because I think we got to. Wow, I got a line of call. Wow, you guys call late in the show. Let's see if we can get that. I mean,
okay.
Can you agree that you can't? And I'm just asking you to speak for yourself. You can't actually prove that reciprocal obligations of protection and allegiance are created by force.
I think you probably can. I don't think I have enough that I haven't thought about enough to actually give you any evidence. And to be honest with you, you wouldn't accept it either.
Oh, come on. You know better than that.
Pointless.
Come on. Don't throw me under the bus at the end of the call here like that. You know better than that. Come on. Come on.
We've actually talked before, and I asked you, well, what proof would you accept? And you said there is no proof. And I'm like, well, okay.
Oh, whoa. You're misunderstanding. You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I don't think that there is any proof. I'm firm on that. However, if somebody did present proof that, okay, then I would accept it.
That's fine. It's funny how the comments in the chat. Well, anyway.
Wait. I can't let you go just yet.
Let me leave you.
Oh, I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
Let me just tell you. Can I tell you a fast story?
Yes.
So I'm at the store yesterday, and I've got like a mask and goggles on. And this lady walks up to me and goes, "Are you sick?" And I said, "No. Do you want to be one of the 250,000 dead?" And she just smiled and said, "Oh, Trump will take care of that." And I was like, "Yeah." So I was just fine.
Okay, I can't let you go because. I think that's. I'm glad you're doing it.
Expose me as a narcissistic psychopath?
No, I wrote my comment down before that came out. No,
I'm kidding. Somebody else.
That's good.
That was Grandma.
Some
of your commenters are funny because they're just.
I know.
Because it's like all chat. It's just silly.
Yeah, it can be. You said you were an atheist, correct?
Yes.
And that means that you're, I would say in general, you're not going to believe something unless there's evidence, a compelling evidence that convinces you of it, right?
Not always. What what I'm just saying is that I don't think what you propose is necessarily true.
Okay.
Let's just put it that way.
Okay, but even by
And I'll let you go because you just want to argue and we're not going to get anywhere. So.
Well, I thought we were having a good conversation. I thought this was pretty
But
cool.
I think we are having a good conversation. And probably talking to me is better than talking to some guy who's telling you that there's no there's a gold fringe flag. But anyway, I'll see you later.
All right, appreciate the call. Thank you. And hopefully we'll have him back on the show again. What I wanted to say, and you can respond on the chat here, is that you seem to have, even though you can't personally, apparently no one has presented facts to you personally, so that's compelling enough for you to believe that there are citizens in states and a government. You're going to believe it anyway. So that's the point that I wanted to make. And I wanted to ask you about that. Maybe, do it here because it sounds like it's more of a, like what, and I'm not saying you're one of these guys. But a lot of atheists tend to go after religious people for believing in something and taking it as a matter of faith and taking what others people have said that it's been here, it must be true. And it seems a belief in government that you can't personally point to any facts to prove exists. It kind of walks that line. But I appreciate the conversation. Hopefully we can continue that. Appreciate the patience of our caller. Area code 407. You're live on the No State Project. What's your name? Where you calling from? I think it's Nebraska.
Hey, Mark, it's Patriot One.
Hey, Patriot. How's it going?
Not so bad. I wanted to, with the previous conversation, just to say that there are states and there are citizens, just ask the king and the serfs. It's always enforced at the barrel of a gun, except in the United States where you can volunteer to be a U.S. citizen, and therefore the Internal Revenue Code applies because it says in the Internal Revenue Code, it applies to United States citizens and non-resident aliens. So if you want to be a United States citizen, accept the code and pay your tax. It's voluntary here, or it's supposed to be.
I wouldn't say it's voluntary by any stretch. If they don't give a damn about your status, if you're making money, they want it.
Yeah, well, that's true. But if you went by the rules as they're written, it's voluntary. Although, like you say, if you don't volunteer, they'll kick your butt and take your stuff anyway. And that's called the remedy of prize, which is in the feudal system.
It is a feudal system. It's just the difference in this feudal system. You grease the right palms, you work hard, or you work smart, you can tend to get out of your caste and move up higher on the food chain.
And become president of the United States.
If you got enough money. Well, if you have enough money and you're the right guy. I mean, obviously, Michael Bloomberg has 100 times more money than the impeached president, and he couldn't be president. So there is a limit there, but you have to be the right guy with the right amount of money. But yeah, certainly, yeah. But that's the difference here. But there are a lot of places that have more freedom than the United States. There are places that don't have much freedom. You have the Chinese Communist Party still allows people to become multimillionaires and even billionaires. And just for the hearing impaired,
as long as they're,
I'm not saying that they're communist in print. They're communist. Oh, 1 second. They're not communist in the way they carry things out. They're authoritarian. They're communist in the name of the party. Oh, the stupid comments I get on this show sometimes. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I was saying as long as they support the Communist Party, they can become the millionaires.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
trade with their Communist Party buddies.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you just see, if you want to get away with not complying with the rules, you have to have a tremendous amount of money. Money is freedom. I know years ago a friend of mine said that. He said, and it was as true 22 years ago as it is today. If you want to be rich, if you want to be free, fighting the government at this point in time will not get you there. What's going to get you freedom is massive, massive amounts of money. That's it. That's the only road to freedom that I can see. That's it.
The control of it. But I wanted to get to the I don't know if the term is the ethics or the morals of this virus thing, but you have to admit that in the past, there were false flags that got us into Vietnam, the Great Depression, the Civil War, false flags to gain control and fear over people.
Yeah,
And that's what I believe this.
But people are actually,
this coronavirus is.
But the Gulf of Tonkin incident didn't happen. It was almost 100% fabrication. There was still a war, and there was still going to be a war. Yeah, there was still going to be a war. They wanted their war. It's not fake that over 50,000 American young men died. It's not fake that something over 1 million Vietnamese and Cambodian people died as a result during that 12-year period. That's not fake.
They died, at least the Americans, they died because they believed they were doing something moral. They were lied to.
Yes.
And they were enforcing a lie. So they died because of lies.
Well, yeah.
Now, I think this corona is the same thing. Because the corona is nothing more than the common cold. There is no test for it. They're not testing people and getting some enzyme that matches coronas. It doesn't happen because there is no such test. They have something else.
There are a lot of people that,
and they're blaming all the deaths on something else.
Well, there are a lot of medical.
They lie to us.
There's a lot of medical professionals that would disagree with you that have that, and there are independent ones. So how do you get? So you're saying that all the tests that they're doing, the test results, what it's testing for, and the results it's given is fake. It's designed or it's been engineered so that it will give a fake result. So it will trick the doctor and the lab tech, and it'll trick the doctor into thinking it's something it's not.
It'll trick the doctor into claiming they died of coronavirus.
So you believe? Okay, all right. And is there any proof that the tests themselves are fake and giving a false positive?
There is no test for coronavirus. It's on the CDC website. There is no test for the common cold virus thing they're calling it.
If they're calling
this
a fraud,
that something's wrong, and they're blaming it on corona.
But if that was true, assuming that's true, and it was fake, why would they put it on their website?
Why would who put it on their website?
Why would the CDC put it on the website knowing it was fake?
No, they put on their website there is no test for coronavirus.
Why would they?
There is no actual specific test for the coronavirus.
If that was true,
so they can't say that you.
But why would they put that on the website when they are also putting on the website that people are testing positive for it? Why would they put that conflicting information right on the website if they're trying to trick everybody?
I can't answer that question, Mark. I can't.
It comes down to.
But coronas is a common cold. That's all it is. That's what it is. That's what it's always been.
So it's not. It's not a situation with that they predicted in 2007 that a virus jumping species, that's completely fake. So the virologist or the immunologist, they made that up. That's not real.
Yeah, they would be making it up because they were being paid by big pharma corporations. It's about corporations. They'll lie to you to get you to do anything. It's not like I just had in my head, not like malaria or say a swine flu or smallpox, which is distributed by blankets.
Well, I think that's been largely debunked.
Same thing where you could find a specific bug thing, whatever it is, the specific molecule that matches the elements of whatever it is, malaria, smallpox, whatever.
So you're making an accusation and you're saying that there's contradictory information on their website, but you don't, who know? To me, if they're masterminding something like this to bring about, the globalists to bring about the new world order, it doesn't make any sense that they would just put on it. Oh, by the way, all these tests that we're saying that there's 277,000 positive cases for corona. There is no corona test. Every single doctor
the
has been.
hospitals are not filled with these people.
So even when there's videos of hospitals being filled, not every hospital, it depends on what area you're in. You know, for example,
I'll give you that.
Now, let me give an example here in Arizona. And I know here in Phoenix, we do not have nearly the cases. We only have about 2,500 cases in the entire area of Arizona. A lot, they're gearing up for more. So what they're doing, and a lot of hospitals are doing this, is they're only taking corona patients, and they're, for example, and they are not taking, well, I shouldn't say that, but they're not doing any more surgeries. So a lot of the surgeries and a lot of things that they're doing, if they're not if there's a life-threatening illness or it's not an emergency, they're delaying that. So you have a lower census on the campuses. Now, does that mean that there's not an outbreak? No, what they're doing is they're prepping for it. So not every single hospital, but there are hospitals that they're at their limit. There are videos of that, independent videos of it. They're all fake.
Well, let me throw a perversion in here. Because of this coronas, they're telling the ambulances do not perform mouth-to-mouth resuscitation in case of cardiac arrest. So they don't perform mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. The guy dies. Is that because of coronas? I think it is, because they told him because of coronas, don't resuscitate him. Evidently, the coronas killed him too, because now they're not even allowed to treat people that need treated. You're not even allowed to go get the operation you have scheduled because something might happen. We're preparing for something that might happen, although you need it now. I mean, if you get a broken arm, you got to have a bottle of gin and your best friend to stand on that arm and explain it afterwards.
I don't know if that's happening, but somebody's saying here you do an overlay of the 5G and the map of COVID-19. Yeah. Viruses tend to strike heavily populated, I can't speak anymore. Densely populated
areas.
Yeah. So obviously it's going to match, and they're doing the 5G in New York because it's a heavily populated area. So, well,
you would think one more thing. You would think that ship that they just parked in New York would be jam-packed full from what we're hearing on the news, and it isn't. Mark, there's something else going on here, and it sure ain't no common cold virus. There's something else happening, and a whole lot of people are going broke and bankrupt because of it. Every war is a banker's war. There's something going on, and it ain't a virus.
Well,
I think.
There might be some plausibility there. It looks like people are dying. So whatever it is, more people are dying in overwhelming hospitals. Not all of them, but something bad is going. That's for certain. Whether it's engineered, who knows? That might come out. But if
I want to give a shout out, to Dr. Lorraine Day. She cured herself of cancer, and she's a vegan, and she promotes it. And she's 80 years old now.
Okay. Well, that's great. I hope that's true. All right. Well, I appreciate the call. I'm going to try to get one more in today, though. Hello. Okay. Didn't get a chance to say. We have area code 601. You're live on the No State Project. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mark. This is Imran.
Hey, Imran. It's been a long time.
It has been. And I was just wondering, this whole, well, first of all, you were telling me people are killing you in the chat room. Why are they killing you? Why are they going off on you?
Well, I'm saying killing is, they're killing me because it's hard to believe that. Well, people are accusing me of supporting martial law, which is just loony.
How are they coming to that conclusion?
Because I think the virus is real and is actually killing people.
You know what? I mean, this is regardless of whether you think it's real or not real. this whole thing appears to be one giant psychology experiment at the least, wouldn't you have to say?
I don't see
People,
it as a
I mean,
psyop. No,
you're getting like bizarre stuff from all sides. I mean, it's just crazy. But the reason I wanted to call is because this whole situation, meaning this coronavirus thing and what people are experiencing as reality, or if it's a hoax or whatever, if anything, it's exposed the truth, I think, in some of your viewpoints, which is that in theory, like a legitimate government, you know, you give your allegiance to that government in exchange for protection and safety. And what's been exposed here is that the United States, or whatever you want to call it, has not only given us, has not given us any safety or protection or anything, but they've acted like, hey, you're on your own. You know, you want masks? Well, that's not our job. That's like, oh, it's the state's jobs. It's the county jobs. And what you've seen is, like, instead of this supposed government that's supposed to protect and take care of us, according to the way most people believe, is that people on the grassroots levels are organizing with each other. Like, neighbors are saying, hey, do you need anything? And counties are kind of trying to work with states, and, you know, and the supposed like government is just like, well, you know what? We don't know. At first, Trump said, well, this was a hoax. Like, and then he said it's just like one guy from China coming into the country. And then he's like, well, you know, there are 15 cases and it'll go down to 0. And then, you know, it's just like, it's just been, for someone who has different viewpoints than the general public, it's just been one big exposure on the complete false narrative that most people have. Wouldn't you say?
well, it certainly shows at the big level, no duty to protect. Right.
Right. So then what's strange is, like, people are, like, if you watch the mainstream news and stuff like that, people, the last shots are like life, for example, like CBS News or something, they'll have a broadcast and they'll show, let's show some, before we end the broadcast, our news broadcast, let's show some shots of life in America. And they show, like, this mom taking her kids out and raising the flag and all doing the Pledge of Allegiance and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, you know, why are they doing that? What are they giving their allegiance to, especially at this time, because you're being abandoned. You're being completely abandoned right now.
Well, I think what we're seeing is,
When you think,
I don't know. I there's not a complete abandonment. I mean, there have been, you know, in New York, Como is, you know, and I think they've did a pretty good job of instructing people in California. They're keeping things, you know, it seems to be going better in Washington. In fact, Italy, it looks like they've turned the corner and are reporting less cases. You know, they're not growing as much. So look what South Korea did. South Korea, you know, as far as an example of government, you can see where the government really did. They started doing very aggressive testing, the drive-up testing, which now became a model for, you know, for other places like the United States. And they were able to keep it from exploding. They didn't have a spike. They have it under control there. And I don't believe, you know, so.
I'm talking about here, though.
Oh, here? Well,
I'm talking about here. Here it's, you have to agree. Anybody has to agree that it's been very sporadic, haphazard, just kind of knee-jerk stuff, and very unorganized. No matter which viewpoint you're on, wouldn't you have to agree that that's been what's going on?
Yeah, there are some that are taking it serious as a heart attack, like Gavin Newsom in California, and then you've got the Trump flunky in Florida. So, and then there was another Trumpy in, I think, South Carolina or Georgia. We had no idea it was transmitted, you know, from breathing. We had no idea, which was, so yeah,
Right.
I agree. Yes, there's some taking it serious. There's some that consistently saying it's a hoax.
Right. So so you do agree that this is pretty much exposed that, like, I mean, that I think it was 2 callers ago, you're going on this long conversation with some guy about does government exist or not or whatever. But like, if that's the fundamental purpose of like government is like a group of people organizing, you know, in the least thing that you'd want is like protection and, you know, some type of like continuity of life in times of like emergency and things like that. And that's not what's going on right now.
Well, no, because unfortunately, people buy into the narrative that they're legitimate, and because they believe it's legitimate, there is automatically credibility given to what they're saying. So when somebody who's supposed to have a tremendous amount of credibility is out there saying it's a hoax, people are going to go about their day and they're not going to do the social distancing. They're not going to take any precautions. And that's exactly why we are in the situation we are in now, why the numbers are exploding the way they are, because too many people took this impeached, draft dodging, wife beaten. All right, you know what? You get them. They took him at his word, and 6 times bankrupt failed businessman. They in reality TV stuff. They took what he said is true, and they didn't change. I was doing the social distancing. I didn't listen to what this idiot was saying. I take that back. He deserves it, but I don't want to throw the insults. But too many people took him serious. And when you've got people in Florida taking the governor serious, or the other places where the governor is, it's a hoax, it's a liberal hoax, they don't do any. And so that's why it spread the way it did. Too many people weren't.
Well, I think what happened is this, Trump is definitely a con man, and he is dumb, but I think he surrounded himself with people who kind of tapped into the hatred and racial divide that's in the United States and got him to exploit that. And that developed a sense of false belief in people that, hey, everybody kind of knows whether you're, quote, liberal or conservative. I don't agree with these terms or use these terms, but I'm just kind of using it as an example because other people use these terms. But whether you're liberal or conservative or libertarian or whatever you are, everybody has this kind of gut feeling that something is way off right now. And I think they took this guy, Trump, as a false messiah, that he was going to change everything and not be part of this kind of bad situation that we're in. And he essentially conned him into like getting into that position. And once he was in that position, he just exposed himself as a complete moron and somebody who duped everybody to be in that position. And then now when there is a real situation and people say, hey, yeah, there's a government and I sacrificed my body to join the army and go kill people and do other things for this government. And now when I need them, it's like the crickets are chirping in the background.
Most politicians are con men where they just say what needs to be said. I think one of the few I think Ron Paul would have kept his word. I'll give you, I think he would have been pretty true to his word, to what he said he was going to do. I believe that Bernie Sanders would do what he says, because he's been doing that for 50 years. I believed someone like Larry Krasner, who has kept his word. I hope he follows through, but so far he's kept his word. Those are the exceptions. Right. Those are the very lone exceptions. But the thing is, Imran, anybody who paid attention, the guy was a reality star TV. He ran. That's what he did. It was common knowledge that he bankrupted a casino. It was common knowledge that he got all his money from his father. We already knew that he didn't pay his vendors. That's one of the ways he makes so much money. He doesn't pay his vendors. There are hundreds of vendors he has. Look, he hasn't paid cities for, and he's the law and order president. He hasn't paid for police protection when he does his rallies. He just leaves. He just doesn't pay people, because people wanted to believe that he may be a con man, but he's going to hurt the libs. He's going to hurt the right people. And that's why the only reason why he was put in, I think, was because Hillary was despised, rightfully so, but because he was gonna give it to the liberals. He was gonna hurt them. And that's why he got in. And that's probably why he's gonna stay in.
Well, yeah, which if you watch videos and stuff like that about like kind of this new world order or cabal or 1% or elitists or whatever you want to call them, they say that they arrange it such that you always have two despicable people, and you just have to make this people who do vote, I don't vote, but people who do vote have to make this choice of the best of two evils, you know? And that's the way it seems like it's been and for a while.
Well, that's why I had softened my position as far as the local, because when you have something in Philadelphia like Larry Krasner, that's not the lesser of the two evils. You're actually voting for somebody who can affect change. So I think at the local level, it's not the globalists. It's not like it is at the federal level. Because here, if you look at, even though there's massive support for Bernie Sanders, okay? And remember, I'm not taking a position. I'm just saying the way it is. Massive support. And what are they doing? The media is all getting behind Joe Biden, who has worse dementia than even the impeached president. His dementia, you can watch in videos. He has had, in the last 6 to 8 weeks, a serious mental decline. I mean, it is, and they just keep, and now he's got they're making us choose between two rapists, right? There's a credible,
right.
And Joe is just, look, what gets me is that Joe Biden is being accused of rape from an adult. That's the only surprise for me. I would have figured that rape allegations will be coming from a child, because there's plenty of video of how creepy this SOB is. So yes, it's between. So I don't want to. J-Back is saying who's Larry Krasner. So just give me just a second here, Imran. Larry Krasner, I reported on the show there, J-Back. He was a defense lawyer in Philadelphia, outraged at seeing firsthand prosecutorial misconduct and how corrupt the prosecutor's office was in Philadelphia. So he ran in their last election and won. He has already exonerated. The last I reported, he already exonerated. His office has been investigating all, he fired 30 prosecutors. I hope he follows up and has them arrested and prosecuted. But he's exonerated 9 innocent people so far. This is a prosecutor who's actually working to exonerate people that his predecessor imprisoned, and hopefully he gets reelected and he stays there. So, yeah, I tell you, things are messed. Are you still here in Arizona?
Yeah, I'm still down. I'm still I think 15 miles or so from you. So,
okay.
I'm not afraid of social distancing. So if you want to meet up sometime, I mean, I've asked you several times over several years, and we haven't met up. We've only met up once, and
that was a big one, though. That one time was a big one.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
that was that was that. Well, I need to. I know Home Bumming It is and I hope he's listening. I haven't seen him chatting, but yeah, maybe the three of us can meet up.
Okay. Sounds great.
I appreciate the call, my friend. Yeah, just get me off air and we'll see what we can set up.
Okay, thanks.
Bye. Yeah, wow. We covered a lot of ground in this show. Holy crap. Let me save some money here. I got to drop off the caller line. Wow, someone was right. This is like one of the old shows, boy. It's been a while since I've gone an hour and a half, but I was going to cut the show off, and then I got a call from Foreign Source, and I'm glad for that. He says we spoke before, but I'm really sorry. I don't remember. I think I would remember that. Maybe he didn't use his name. But I'm really glad that we're able to talk, and it's more evidence that I can talk to someone who doesn't see eye to eye with me on these things, and we can have a mature, pleasant, good-hearted discussion. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate all the calls from Imran. Good to hear from you again. And Patriot Wonder. I still, and I'll, before I end the show, I'll say, I think that we do have, because there's something going on. People are dying. Even if we just say it's a really bad case of the flu, it makes sense to wear a mask, because even you could be completely asymptomatic, because unlike the regular flu, you could be asymptomatic for up to 10 days, which is not the same damn thing as the flu. So even if in fact, I just saw something where a bunch of nurses and hospital personnel reported that they had not gotten the corona. They had not been sick at all. They felt no symptoms whatsoever. And yet they tested that they had antibodies against that virus, that they had it. So I think it is ethical to take steps that, even if it's just a flu, that we take some precautions, because we could be carrying it and we could spread it. So while we're in the middle of a global pandemic, I think it's the least that we can do is to stay home. And if we go out, it's only for a necessity, or we're going somewhere where we're not going to be in a crowd. Wash your hands, put a mask on, stay away from people. I don't think that doesn't mean I'm supporting martial law. That doesn't mean I support government. No. So I think I'm at a point in the show where I'm just going to start blocking comments like that. Maybe that's what I got to start to do, because I just don't want to see them anymore. It's ridiculous. If you're being sarcastic, use the S and the / because that's always welcome. So hopefully when I do the show on Wednesday, there is not going to be another almost doubling of the amount of people with the virus and the number of people dead. So hopefully we got 6,500 people reported dead now. Hopefully that's not going to be over 10,000. Maybe that'll only be 7,000. Maybe maybe we're hitting a benchmark here. And yeah, someone's saying it's 2020. People need to be told to wash their hands and cover their mouths when sneezing or coughing. Yeah, the whole elbow thing. I know. What do you do? But I appreciate everyone tuning in today. We covered a lot of the ground. It was a fun show to do. And hopefully we have better news to start the show off on the Wednesday broadcast. And so till then, salud.